Okay, so today we're diving into something called Leadspace leadership.
Leadspace.
Yeah, Leadspace leadership.
Uh-huh.
And we've got some material here that looks really interesting.
Yeah, it seems like a whole new way to think about what it means to be a leader, a really effective leader.
Right. And, our listeners are here because they want to get a good grasp on this stuff
For sure.
without getting lost in the weeds, right?
Absolutely.
So we're going to really try to unpack the core ideas of Leads-based leadership
Okay.
and figure out why it matters.
Sounds good.
But before we get too far into it, we really got to clear something up.
Okay, what's that?
This whole Leadspace thing,
Yeah.
it's not lead like what you find in a pencil.
Right, definitely not.
It's L-E-A-D.
L-E-A-D.
Space.
Space. It's about the space where leaders operate,
Yeah, the space to make decisions, to take action.
Exactly. The room to actually grow as a leader.
So let's keep that in mind as we go.
Absolutely.
Now, you're saying that pronunciation lead space, 2 words, really highlights the main idea here.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It drives home the fact that this is all about leadership development,
Okay.
and it takes what they call a scholar-practitioner perspective.
Scholar-practitioner perspective.
Yeah, it's this cool mix of, the theoretical stuff, the what of leadership.
Right, the academic side.
Exactly. But it also really digs into the practical how,
Okay, so it's not just about knowing the theories.
No. It's about actually putting them into practice.
Yeah, making them work in the real world.
And a big part of that is becoming more aware of yourself as a leader and, developing those capabilities.
Okay, so bridging that gap between theory and practice.
Exactly.
I see here that lead space is based on a lot of research.
Oh, yeah, tons of it.
Yeah.
Centuries worth.
Wow, a century.
Yeah, about 100 years of combined experience from executives and leadership roles.
That's a lot of experience.
It is, and it's not just any kind of leadership experience. This is specifically from analyzing how leaders have responded to natural disasters. Think about it. Hurricanes, earthquakes, wildfires.
Right. Incredibly high pressure situation.
Exactly. You've got immense pressure. Everything's ambiguous. Things are changing constantly. Those are the situations where effective leadership really matters.
So they studied what worked in those really tough scenarios.
Yes, and from that, they distilled the core principles of leads-based leadership.
That makes sense. Now, you mentioned military and civilian applications. How does a system developed by studying disaster response translate to everyday leadership challenges?
It's a good question, and I think the key is that leads-based leadership isn't just about surviving those extreme events. It's about equipping leaders to thrive in any environment by building what they call dynamic capabilities.
So it's more than just crisis management.
Exactly. Think of it as a way to become a more agile and effective leader, no matter what challenges you face. Whether you're in the military, running a business, or leading a team in any field, these principles can help you step up.
Okay, so it's about building a leadership muscle that you can flex in different situations. Now, the material mentions that lead space can help leaders handle their everyday tasks and challenges with a high degree of effectiveness and adaptability.
Yeah, they really emphasize that. And it's designed to be applicable to leaders at all levels across all industries.
So whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned executive, there's something here for you.
Exactly. They also point out that there are no pre-course requirements, which means it's accessible to anyone who wants to improve their leadership skills.
That's great. It sounds very inclusive. Now, I'm seeing something called the ACT Fact Impact methodology. What is that?
That's a core part of how leads-based leadership is taught. It's designed to ensure that the learning is very practical and has an immediate impact on your work.
So it's not just about theory, it's about seeing results.
Exactly. They want you to be able to take what you learn and apply it right away. There's actually a YouTube video that explains this methodology in more detail.
Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out. Now, who exactly can benefit from lead-based leadership?
They've identified 3 main groups. The first is high potential employees, those who are seen as future leaders.
Okay, so people who are early in their careers but have the potential to move up.
Right. For them, it's about laying a strong foundation in leadership skills and giving them the knowledge they need to succeed early on.
Setting them up for success from the start.
Exactly. The second group is middle and senior level managers.
So folks who are already in leadership roles.
Yes. For them, leads-based leadership is about making the shift from traditional management approaches to what they call authentic leadership.
So it's about moving beyond just managing tasks and processes to really leading people.
Exactly. It's about inspiring your team, building trust, and creating a shared vision.
And the final group,
That's C-suite executives.
the folks at the very top.
Right. Even at the highest levels, there's always room to grow and improve as a leader.
Leadspace can help them fine-tune their skills and become even more effective.
That's the idea. They want to help executives lead their organizations more effectively and create a culture of leadership throughout the company.
So Leadspace is really designed to be relevant across the entire spectrum of leadership experience.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about the practical outcomes. What specific skills or abilities can someone expect to develop through Leadspace leadership?
They list several key outcomes. One is developing actionable mental models for sense-making by thinking critically.
What does that mean exactly?
Basically, it means learning how to better understand and interpret complex situations.
So it's about sharpening your analytical skills.
Right. You'll learn how to break down complex problems into smaller parts, identify the key factors, and make sense of what's going on.
Okay, that makes sense. What else?
Another important outcome is the ability to apply decision-making domain awareness for judgments based upon environment.
So that's about understanding the context of your decisions.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to leadership.
What works in one situation might not work in another.
Exactly. You need to be aware of the specific environment you're operating in and tailor your approach accordingly.
Okay, that's important. What else is on the list?
They also talk about generating a post-operational analysis approach, discovering debrief focal points for success.
So it's about learning from past experiences.
Exactly. It's about having a structured way to debrief after a project or event and identify what worked well and what could be improved.
A way to capture those lessons learned.
Right. That's crucial for continuous improvement, both for yourself and your team.
Okay, I like that. What else?
They also emphasize the importance of creating a greater understanding of relationships through connection and trust.
So it's about building strong relationships with your team.
Yes, because leadership is ultimately about people.
It's about connecting with them on a human level and building trust.
Exactly. You can't lead effectively if you don't have strong relationships with the people you're leading.
Okay, that's a really important point. What else is on the list?
They also mention building upon responsibilities to improve dynamic capabilities in each aspect of operations.
So it's about making sure everyone is clear on their roles and responsibilities.
Yes, and it's about empowering people to take ownership of their work and contribute to the overall success of the team.
And the final outcome.
That's driving roles toward exploring optimum cognitive distance and innovative ideas.
That's an interesting one.
It's about finding that sweet spot between being too close to the details and too far removed.
So you can see both the big picture and the individual pieces.
Exactly. It's about encouraging innovative thinking and finding creative solutions to problems.
Okay, so it sounds like Leadspace leadership really aims to develop a comprehensive set of skills that can help you be a more effective leader in any situation.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about the Leadspace Leadership Certificate. What does it signify?
It's a formal recognition that you've demonstrated the knowledge, skills, and abilities of a leader who can thrive in complex environments.
So it's a validation of your leadership capabilities.
Exactly.
How do you earn the certificate?
There's a comprehensive learning assessment process that involves both quantitative and qualitative evaluations.
So it's not just about attending the course. You have to prove that you've learned the material.
Right.
What do those evaluations involve?
On the quantitative side, there's a 24-question survey that assesses your understanding of the core concepts and principles.
So it's a multiple choice test.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then there's a more in-depth oral examination during what they call impact activities.
What are those?
They're basically simulations or exercises that allow you to apply what you've learned in a real-world setting.
So it's like a role-playing exercise.
Exactly. And the oral exam is 45 questions long, so it's pretty thorough. But it's designed to ensure that only those who have truly mastered the material receive the certification.
I see. Now, there's also a partnership with the University of Charleston, right?
Yes. The Leadspace Leadership course is partnered with the UC School of Leadership.
What does that mean for people who complete the course?
Well, it adds a layer of academic credibility to the certification. And UC offers a 10% tuition discount on their bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs in leadership to graduates of the Leadspace Leadership course.
Wow. That's a significant benefit.
It is. It's a great opportunity for anyone who's considering pursuing further education in leadership.
Okay, so for anyone listening who's interested in learning more or taking the Leadspace Leadership course, what are the key details they need to know?
Well, it's a one-day course, 6 to 8 hours long, and it's delivered virtually.
So you can take it from anywhere in the world.
Exactly. The requirements are pretty straightforward. You'll need to complete some pre- and post-survey materials, and you'll need access to the Leadspace Leadership Handbook, which is provided electronically.
Okay. What about the cost?
It's $1,500.
And are there any refunds?
No, there are no refunds.
Okay, so it's an investment to consider carefully.
It is.
But it sounds like it could be a worthwhile investment for anyone who's serious about developing their leadership skills.
Absolutely.
Now, for anyone who wants to find out more or book a spot on the course, what should they do?
The website is www.leadspaceleadership.com.
And if they want to book a course?
They can go to www.caesarkellum.com.
Okay, great. And the contact person is Dr. Caesar Kellum.
Yes, he's the founder and CEO of Kinetic Leadership Consulting and the author of the Leadspace Leadership Certification course.
And his phone number is 850.546.41111.
That's right.
Excellent. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Leadspace leadership, what are some of the key takeaways that stand out to you?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is that Leadspace leadership is about more than just surviving difficult situations. It's about thriving in any environment.
It's about building the skills and mindset you need to be an effective leader, no matter what challenges you face.
Exactly. And it's about creating a culture of leadership within your organization.
One where everyone feels empowered to contribute their best work.
Right.
So for our listeners, I think the key question is, how can you apply the principles of Leadspace leadership to your own work?
How can you create your own lead space?
That space where you can grow as a leader and make a real difference.
And how can you use those skills to navigate an increasingly complex and unpredictable world?
Great questions. If you're intrigued by this idea of Leadspace leadership, we encourage you to visit the websites we've discussed and learn more.
You might find that it's the perfect framework for taking your leadership to the next level.
And who knows, maybe you'll even decide to take the course and become a certified Leadspace leader.
The possibilities are endless.
Thanks for joining us today on The Deep Dive. We'll see you next time.
See you then.